All right, hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Liz, the Partner Manager here at Ecom Dash. Before we do get started, I did want to go over a few basic things. This presentation will be recorded, and we'll email you guys after the webinar with the recording today. Also, during and throughout the webinar, we would love to hear from you. So feel free to add some questions to the panel on the right-hand side of the screen. We'll address those questions after the presentation today. And again, thank you for those joining. Welcome to our webinar, Why Retailers Should Embrace the Digital Wave. Again, I'm Liz, the Partner Manager here at Ecom Dash, and I'd like to introduce our partner today, Beekeeper. They have some great information and tips for you guys. So I'm excited to have them here, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to them so they can get started. Thanks.
Hi guys, I'm Austin here with Beekeeper. It's Austin and Susanna. I'm Austin, the Marketing Manager here for North America, so I work to develop our market and understand the retail even more. And then Susanna.
Thank you so much, Liz, and thanks, Austin. Hi, everyone. I'm Susanna Majors. I'm a content writer here at Beekeeper, so I'm spreading the gospel of better operational communications.
Awesome. So I'm just going to go over the agenda for today and kind of talk us through. So we'll go through some industry insights, optimizing operation for a digital communications application, effective messaging along with digital signage, as well as the future of retail, and a little bit of Q&A.
Great. So we'll get kicked off with diving into some industry insights. So it comes as no surprise, I'm sure, for everyone that mobile application use within the workplace is on the rise. This is, of course, due to kind of the overall digital transformation. Consumer tools are now so advanced, so accessible. It's no wonder that we're relying on them in both our personal and our professional lives. And in fact, 80% of our time on mobile devices is spent on an app. So that means, engaging with an app in some way, whether it's purchasing something, looking something up, looking for a restaurant recommendation, you get the idea. And CEB Summit predicts increasing adoption of mobile workplace tools. Okay, so something that I think is really great to think about when we think about the rise of mobile usage and specifically app usage is the click and mortar phenomenon, and this is especially relevant to the retail environment. And click and mortar refers to a hybrid strategy that involves online accessibility and an in-store kind of presence. And so I think it's helpful to kind of use a real world example. Most recently, I was in a Gap store, and I decided to go into Gap after I got an email from them talking about a 50% off sale. And there was a pair of pants that I had my eyes on, so I knew that this would be the opportunity to hopefully get them. But I'm someone who likes to go in and try something on before I ultimately make the purchase, if I'm going to make it. So that email got me in the doors. Once I was there, they didn't have my size and the color that I wanted, but they did have it in another color. So I tried them on, and the attendant that was in the dressing room had a mobile device, a point of sale terminal. And they said, well, I'm happy to look that up online, and if we have it online, I can ship it right to your house in the correct size that you need. And so that's a really great example of kind of leveraging mobile technology to meet the customer where they are, and ultimately, hopefully conclude with a purchase. So some of the challenges, though, that I think this kind of hybridized strategy might create is in regards to navigating these sales from both outlets. So say, there isn't a mobile point of sale device, or your employees don't necessarily know that there are promotions that are being pushed out through email campaigns or that are available online. That's definitely a potential challenge. Also managing employees and the workflow across retail chains. So again, just thinking about how everyone is getting access to the same information so that that customer experience, which is paramount, is consistent and excellent. So meeting customers' expectations for digitally literate employees. So these images here, I think, are just sort of a nice way to kind of encapsulate, again, this click and mortar phenomenon. On the right-hand side, we have actually kind of more of an AI-driven example, but a customer in a retail environment being given options, probably based on data that that they agree to share with the store about their sizing and information. So the store is saying, hey, like, take a right, go to the to this display, we've got pants in your size, we've got shirts in your size. And then on the left is a person using a mobile device to ultimately complete a purchase online. So that's a pretty good, that person really represents me, actually, in this case, because I like to go in store and try something on and then maybe wait and make that decision once I get home and make the purchase from the comfort of my couch. So some interesting facts in relationship to this idea of the mobile technology kind of presence, the vital presence that mobile technology is playing and needs to play in the retail environment. Year over year, customer retention rates are 91% higher among omni-channel businesses. So omni-channel is sort of another way to say click and mortar. Omni just means multi. Today's consumers use almost 6 touch points for a purchase. So again, going back to that gap experience, I'm getting that email, that's 1 touch point. I'm going into the store and interacting with salespeople there, that's another touch point. And then ultimately, hopefully completing that sale online. And the ease of use for completing that sale online is important. And 50% of shoppers expect to be able to purchase an item online and pick it up in store. The majority of consumers today think brands should focus more on providing a seamless customer experience. And I think for me, that's obvious. Mobile technology is absolutely a way to make sure that that customer experience is seamless and that you're meeting the customer where they are.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about optimizing our operation using digital communications applications. So we talked a lot about how different factors come into play and how you really look at this click and mortar phenomenon about that retail front. So I'm going to talk a little bit about storefront and how does that retail employee optimize that experience. But to talk about that, we need to look at who's in the storefront and who do we interact with there. And those are the retail employees. So retail employees have an immense amount of knowledge that they hold, especially around your store and around your product and around how the environment works there. And so watching them walk away or leaving them or having turnover is extremely costly. Replacing a retail employee costs around $3,400 per person. That's expensive. That's not something you want to take often. And so disengaged employees as a whole can cost companies $450 to $550 billion a year. That's a lot of money. That's not, I don't think any company is ready to just throw out the door. So replacing a retail employee really comes down to understanding what they need, what culture they're wanting, how can they deliver that amazing customer experience, and ensuring that they're able to do that. So one of the ways that you can do that is by streamlining communication. So here you have a picture of Beekeeper on the left-hand side. And so some of the ways to do this is connecting your teams throughout your retail chain, from your supply chain to your headquarters, to your management, to your multiple locations, understanding what they look like and how they can connect. And so allowing them to be both accessible and allowing them to coordinate, which is really crucial. So here you can kind of see in the chat on the side is that there's an upcoming storm coming through. And so there's an upcoming storm that could affect the supply chain, which would then result in a delay or a product maybe not being in the storage, so that end guests could not be able to get their products. So making sure that people across the company are aware of certain things that are happening and making sure they're accessible to information allows them to coordinate and provide the amazing customer experience and know that what's in store, what's in stock, what's coming, what's needed to be here. And that allows for real-time communication, which allows for amazing quick fixes. So if one store may have a storm delay or something's going on, another store may already have or have excess supply of something. And so they're able to communicate between stores and allow for that communication to be like, oh, actually the store down the road has it. Do you want us to hold it? Do you want them to ship it to your home? Do you want them to send it here? With that real-time communication, you can probably find out that, oh, actually the guest lives closer that way, their home's that way, they're going to go pass it on their way home, they can pick it up. Those types of real-time communication has to be accessible to your retail employee as you move forward into the future, because the customers are going to expect that. As well as streamlined communication is access to upper management. I've worked in management. I think most people have worked, or I've worked in retail. Most people have worked in retail along their lives. And so access to upper management and knowing that they can have communication, especially during swing shifts or off shifts, that access is really limited for those employee bases and for those customers and for those employees. And they're touching our customers every day. They're needing to understand what is needed from a management front as well as from a company as a structural whole. Another thing to think about when you're thinking about a retail digital communication platform is creating a culture of contribution. So sharing best practices internally. A lot of our retail customers here at Beekeepers share best practices around how to set up cool new point of sale displays or cool new seasonal lines. So how does that work? And that allows for our customers to offer customer-centric content and insights. So one cool use case is we had a couple retail customers that the locations were a little far apart. And so they were able to create this amazing display. A couple employees really took it to heart and they're like, we have this new seasonal display coming out, we have this new seasonal line, we want to make sure it's amazingly displayed. So they had built up this elaborate display and they were able to share it inside of Beekeeper. And then other locations were able to see, oh, whoa, did you see what these guys did down the road? Did you see how they displayed it? They're seeing amazing sales and this is really cool. Let's try to do it. And so allowing that to be customer-centric content and insights and allows them to understand what other locations are doing as well as other employees are doing. That is along with customers to celebrate success. So improving retention. So happier employees are 12% more productive. So celebrating that success, the managers of those employees that created that amazing display took a picture of them and celebrated them. It's like, look at this initiative that was taken to heart. It's absolutely amazing. And so it's super cool to see things like that being shared, not just at one location, but multiple locations and taking over the entire company and really optimizing the company from really not just a top-down, but a bottom-up perspective. Another thing about creating culture of contribution is measuring engagement with analytics. Beekeeper has a robust analytical dashboard, and any communication platform you look to should have a robust engagement platform that they can see what departments are being engaged, what locations are getting engaged, where do we need help, how can we help. This will help in understanding what turnover looks like and how does that communication aspect play into that, as well as understanding how engaged certain employees are, as well as certain locations. You can find out that maybe your certain line of employees is way more engaged than another. So understanding that can help benefit the overall structure of the company. Another thing to think about when you're looking at this digital motivation moving forward is supporting implementation for company-wide initiatives. So confirmation campaigns is a really cool feature that your communication platform should have. And so allowing for different things, these are some of the use cases that we've seen in retail customers use. So emergency alerts. So as I was talking earlier, like you can send out streamlined crisis management communication about certain things. So like a hurricane coming, or the hurricane could affect your supply chains, it could affect locations, it could affect a lot of things. So sending out a push notification that allows, here we have this upcoming hurricane or we have this upcoming storm coming in, here's the security processes, here are the policy updates, here's what actions we're taking. Anything along that line. So that's talking policy updates, allows for everybody to have it in their hand on their phone, as well as a change of event, location, or time. So you could have company meetings, company stand-ups, and you have a change in the location or time. So getting that information into their hand and into those employees is perfectly fast and needs to be very efficient. This also allows for a training material to be sent. So as you can see on this left-hand side, there's safety training taking place. So Natalie's a new employee here, and so Natalie gets a message about a new company-wide security policy that's going to go in effect pretty soon. So she needs to review it and understand it and then confirm that she's read it for compliancy. So she's able to review the document, confirm that she's read it, and you're able to have an analyzed back end of understanding who has read it, sending follow-up campaigns to anybody that hasn't read the new training material, so ensure that you're 100% compliant across the board, as well as increasing the understanding of important policies like security. That's one of the things, along with automated triggers. So surveys can be automated, chatbots can be automated, as well as trigger notifications on the back end. So a lot of this can be automated. So it's actually really amazing to see when you look at company-wide initiatives being supported through a communication channel. So just to look at tips for finding the best app solution and finding your communication platform that allows for these types of things is understanding to access, understand, and consider. So you want to be able to assess your potential use cases and what does the use case for your company look like? Do you have multiple locations? Do your employees speak different languages? How does that setup look like? What are your use cases that you could see being challenging and being able that the platform could help you with? Understand how the team app's security capabilities are. Your team app needs to be secure. You can't just have group chats. You can't just have workplace. In the age of security and data encryption, this has to be something you take into consideration. Also consider the ease of implementation for your workforce. How easy is this to be rolled out? Is there going to be a customer success manager that works with them alongside? Is there going to be rollout processes? Or is this all on us? How do we run this out into our employee base? Another thing to think about when you're looking at how to streamline and look at the future of communication is effective messaging with digital signage. So on the next slide here, there we go. You can look at some of the amazing benefits from digital signage in your workplace. So you can see digital signage, a lot of the times we have break rooms and we put TVs in there. And so a lot of the times this is how we can connect with Beekeeper. You can have rolling display of all kinds of important information, important messaging, and anything else that could be useful. So this allows for real-time communication, high visibility of critical messages. Happy anniversary to Maya is maybe not the most critical information, but it's definitely important for building that cultural. But when you look at notifications around storms or supply outages or things along that lines or different times changing, those things are critical messages that everybody should have access to and everybody should be able to view. As well as automating content. Content can be automatically streamed to these TVs instantly, as well as supporting the company cultural efforts and fostering that community of collaboration and understanding how that employee is tied to the company. Next, Susanna is going to talk about the future of retail.
Great, thanks, Austin. So automation. It already is prevalent. It's going to continue becoming even more prevalent. 47% of today's jobs could be automated in the next 20 years. And this not only produces cost savings, but increases efficiency and helps to eliminate the more menial tasks that we encounter in our daily life, things that are important but shouldn't take as much time as they do, so that we can turn our attention to focus on more meaningful tasks. And artificial intelligence. By 2035, profitability in retail will increase by almost 60% from the presence of AI. So if we recall the two images from before that showed sort of that click and mortar phenomenon, that image that had the person in the store with their cell phone out and the products kind of all around them being kind of shown to them and kind of getting alerts about what's available. So facial recognition, image recognition, chatbots, those kinds of AI applications will be really crucial to increasingly customizing and personalizing the retail experience for customers. And mobile integration. By 2020, more than half of online shopping in the US will be done via mobile phones. So again, returning to that Gap experience and that mobile point of sale terminal that the employee in the Gap dressing room was able to, pull out and say, hey, I can order you those pants in the size that you need and ship them to your house, and contactless payment methods in store. So another sort of anecdote within the Gap brand is Old Navy. And this is something I haven't experienced myself, but that I've heard about. And they are starting to eliminate cash registers and having that sort of, cash wrap at the front of the store. And they are instead moving to entirely mobile point of sale terminal transactions. So that means in an Old Navy store, in that retail environment, you would have say your purchase, your pair of pants or your shirt, and you would find an employee who would complete that transaction for you right then and there on the sales floor wherever you encounter them. So there's no more waiting in line, waiting to get up to the cash register. And I think that's really crucial too, because again, this is pointing to the retail environment accommodating people, being more accessible, and meeting the customer where they are.
Awesome. So we have a couple questions submitted. If you have any questions still, feel free to submit them still. We're going to hit them up right now. One question that we had come in, Suzanne, I think it'd be good for you, would be, how do you see the importance of brick and mortar and those like physical stores as we move forward in the future?
I think they're still really important. I don't think that retail is dead. I think, and I mean, I can only speak for my own experience, but I am that customer. I'm technically a millennial. I'm an aging millennial, as I like to say, so I'm on the older side. But you know, I still remember what it was like before there was cell phones. You know, I didn't grow up with a cell phone. I am fluent in digital technology. I rely on my cell phone just as much as anybody does, but I want that opportunity to be able to go in, have a face-to-face interaction with a person if I want to, try on something. So that's, you know, again, that's all I can speak to is my experience, but I think that that's really important. So having a brick and mortar store, and there's even, I mean, they're experimenting with stores in Japan that don't have staff in there, but it's still like an in-person experience. So you go in and you can choose, say, like, I think it's mostly in grocery stores, and you can choose some food, and your information, because of the presence of your cell phone, is already kind of downloaded. So you kind of fill your virtual and your physical cart, and then you can leave. So again, even though that doesn't have like a face-to-face interaction, you're still getting to kind of have that experience, that experiential thing of that consumer experience, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers that, but
yeah. Another question we have is, how do you see the importance of employees playing out into the future?
The importance of employees to the retail experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, I mean, I'm a big fan of having that kind of gap strategy, where you can go into a store and talk to someone if you want, but then ultimately take your time and make that purchase from the comfort of your own home if you want to. Yeah. I think, you know, something that Beekeeper does really well is like we have a really human component. Our customer success team is second to none, and I still think that people they want the convenience that mobile technology provides, but they also want to know that if they have an issue, it's going to be taken care of, and it's going to be taken care of quickly and well, right? They don't want to sit through a robot voice saying, press 1, you know, to record a message, you know. They want to talk to a person, and they want to know that their concerns are being addressed adequately.
Yeah, I think as we move forward in the future, the importance of employees is only going to increase. And I think it's going to become what they do and how they do it is going to change. So their knowledge of the product and of the customer and of how they play together is going to increase. And so the ability to train and uplearn and kind of build more out on top of that employee and let them become more of an owner around certain processes and stuff like that. I think the technology aspect, where it's going to be like purchasing and scanning and stuff like that, and like those things are going to be super automated pretty fast. But that actual understanding of what the customer likes, what there's their purchase history, how can we help them, how do we best service this type of customer, does the customer want to be serviced? Do they want to talk to employees? Do they want to have that face-to-face interaction? I think that's going to only increase the importance of their training, their learning, and the ability to really understand moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful to sort of look at the bigger picture, which is, you know, again, I've also worked many retail jobs, and if I had been in college working at I'll just use the Gap as an example. And I was able to post a picture of, you know, the 150 pairs of pants that I had to fold, and I was really proud of that, right? I was really, you know, that's my work, that's my hard work. And if I was able to post a picture of that and say, hey, you know, this is Susanna here in California, and I just did this really cool new visual merchandising for the pants, and I'm really excited about it, and let me know what you think, right? And that gives the opportunity for everyone in the company to respond, to weigh in. It gives, you know, maybe it sparks an idea for another employee at another store to go, oh, that's really cool. I like how you know, stacked those or displayed those or put those closer to, you know, the cash register or the door or whatever. And I think that that's super important. So we're looking at, again, making that connection between employee communication and employee engagement and familiarity with mobile technology, right? And how those experiences need to be linked in order to give your customers the best possible experience.
Yeah, exactly. Just talking back to what you were just saying, we had a couple of retail customers do a competition along those lines, and so it was really interesting to see, like, how do you do this most effectively and smart, and like how do you do this both efficiently time-wise, but as well as creatively and really promote it. And so it was really kind of cool to see that competition take place, and different locations were competing, and the manager picked who was the best winner and who was the most creative and most time-consuming or something like that. So it was really fun to see. I think we got all of our questions answered, so I'll move to the next slide. And we just want to say thank you. And if you guys have any additional questions or you want to reach out to Beekeeper or Ecom Dash, feel free to email us, either of us, Austin Sammer at beekeeper.io and Susanna Majors at beekeeper.io. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thanks again, Liz and Ecom Dash. We really appreciate the opportunity to partner with you.
Yeah.